Alright, time to fill out that survey. Let's see. Survey program. Oh, here it is. Well, usually it takes a while to load up. Wait a second, I felt this feeling before. Oh my god. Undertale was indeed the most talked about video game back in 2015. What began as a Kickstarter campaign reaching over $50,000, mind you, into a worldwide phenomenon success that everyone was playing. Even if you never heard about Undertale before, you would have heard somebody talking about the game itself, or you found out thanks to the never-ending Sans memes. The hype was real and you cannot escape it. It was everywhere over the internet with fan-made games, art, merchandise, plushies, you name it, it's already there. But that was back in 2015 and the hype has now died out thanks to the more newer and fresher games that just came out. But it was only a matter of time before Toby works on a new IP in the video gaming industry. As the hype slowed down, Toby Fox started to post some cryptic messages on Twitter, which was really strange at first, but it did bring in a buzz from many fans on what was going on. And then, with one link to a website later, Toby Fox announces Deltarune, which is a prequel? A sequel? I'm not really sure. You guys can discuss this in the comment section, but what matters is that the hype is back and everyone was talking about the wonderful world of monsters and humans once again. Deltarune this time around is now split into chapters, with this one being chapter 1. As of the release date of this review, chapter 2 hasn't come out yet and I have no idea when it will, but more on that in a later time. Now is the time to see if the first chapter of Deltarune can live up to the same quality like Undertale did. And of course, because this is a video game that came out over a year ago, do expect some spoilers throughout this review. If you don't want to be spoiled throughout the video, please leave the video now. The game begins with creating your own character. This is a really cool addition because in Undertale you only had to choose a name for your character and that's it. But in Deltarune, you can select which type of hair, shirt, and I'm pretty sure the pants are the same. This is my body. Do you accept it? Oh yes. I do accept my body. You can also give your character some personality by giving your creation a blood type, favorite type of food, and its favorite color. And before you journey on to the beyond, the narrator gives you the information that the character you created is now erased. It's gonna be one of those games, isn't it? The game tells you that in this world, your choices have no effect during the game. It is a change of pace comparing to Undertale, and I sorta like it. Undertale was about choices, and with each decision you make will have consequences throughout the entire game. But in Deltarune, your choices don't matter, and it will repeatedly remind you of it during the game, because no matter what decision you decide, the results will stay the same. Once that's done, we get woken up by our favorite Mother of the Year, Toriel, telling us it's time to go to school. Hold on a second! Oh god, Jesus, no! Did somebody say Toriel? Oh god, not you again, Hobo Joe! Oh, so sorry to bother ya, I just get very excited when I hear her name. For the last time, she is a fictional character. She's not real! Do you want me to hook you up to an online terrible dating app or something? Cause it seems to me that you're desperate. Oh, you know, that's alright. You don't have to do any of that because Toriel is the only girl for me. You're a sick freak, you know that? Okay, my apologies for the interruption. Here we meet our actual character we'll be playing as, called Chris. We get ourselves ready and head over to school before meeting some recognizable characters along the way. We finally make it to the class, but unfortunately, we're late. Everyone had to pair up in twos for a school project given by a school teacher, Alphys. And the only person Chris can team up with is Susie, the bully in this game. Alphys tells both Chris and Susie to find some chalk in a closet, only to later find out that the reason why chalk has been missing in the first place is because Susie has been eating all the chalk. She immediately lets you know that she doesn't give two rats about you and attempts to eat you while she's at it. Pretty disturbing, but she puts her hunger aside and you two make it to the closet. Out of nowhere, something very weird happened. The light is more darker and the music is more creepier. You both realize the room does seem a bit too big for a closet. Chris and Susie gets creeped out and they both try to leave the closet until the door slams itself shut and the floor disappears, making both Chris and Susie fall down. Chris wakes up to an unknown underground with a different skin and clothes. After finding Susie, they both reach an empty castle where a prince named Ralsei has been waiting for us. Ralsei then gives out this huge backstory about light and dark living in harmony, and if the harmony were to shatter, the world will be destroyed. It gives out a prophecy that a human, a monster, and a fluffy boy, a prince from the dark, can save the day. So, with the story set into motion, you try to restore the balance while finding your way back home. While the story seems very simple and easy to follow, sometimes cliched if you will, but very enjoyable at the same time, and at times, fun. And when it comes to the word fun in the story, is something we'll be talking about in a different topic. And now we reach to the gameplay, and if you're familiar with the gameplay from Undertale, then you'll have no trouble here. It is the same turn-based gameplay style you would expect, but adding in a few new features to make the combat more fresher. You now control not only Chris, but Ralsei as well. Susie joins in the fight, and I don't mean that as a meme of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but because she's a bully, she'll just keep on attacking. So it's up to you to warn the fellow monsters so they can dodge Susie's offense. You can use defense to take less damage, gather enough TP to spend on different items, and using Ralsei's magic to heal or make monsters fall asleep. While the combat gameplay has more features this time around, but there is something missing from the gameplay. One thing that Undertale succeeds but Deltarune fails, and that is the sense of discovering. A great part about Undertale's battle system is that you'll always find new ways to spare monsters. What I mean by sense of discovering is the trial and error you'll be facing while trying to spare monsters. Not every monster is played the same, and that's why I love Undertale's gameplay more than Deltarune's. Sure, new monsters will come around every now and then, but 9 times out of 10, every combat strategy is exactly the same. You warn them about Susie's attack, use the act once, and spare them. The trial and error has disappeared in Deltarune, and it's more straightforward this time. And that kinda is unfortunate because some of the great writing in Undertale came from figuring out how to spare. Not saying that the writing is bad in Deltarune by any means, but you don't really notice it until it's gone. The gameplay is also more easier, well for me at least. I didn't run into any challenges. Even the final boss himself was a bit underwhelming. The only challenging part about the game is when you have to backtrack to fight a character named Jevil. But I haven't faced him before, so I don't have much to comment about. But I have heard of him and know what to expect if I come across him. And other than that, that's really the only problems I have with this game. So, let's move on to the good shit. The soundtrack is just as great as Undertale's. Not as impactful, but still great nonetheless. No matter what music plays, either Empty Town, Hip Shop, or listening to that awesome song in Root Buster while in combat, you're most likely going to jam out. The level designs is a bit smaller this time as you're going through the fields, the forest, and finally the castle, but everything in Deltarune has so much more detail. The grass when you walk around the fields of hopes and dreams have animation, and the more different shades of colors when you explore around each level is really a nice touch. The puzzles in Deltarune is okay, not really too difficult, but once you know what to do, it's a cakewalk from here on out. Not only will you meet characters from Undertale, which does bring in some good nostalgia, but you also have new personalities to check out, like Noelle, Roxas Card, and I hope I pronounced that word correctly, and in my opinion, one of the best characters in the entire game, Lancer. And here's where I bring that word fun back. What makes the journey so fun is seeing Lancer wherever you go. At first he's portrayed as the bad guy, but the more you progress, the more you realize just how great Lancer is. You could almost say that Lancer gets the same treatment as Papyrus on how you first think he's a guy who wants to capture humans, but later on you see that he's not so bad. Lancer does some hilarious stuff like pointing out something that is really obvious or being just downright weird. And it's something that I can appreciate because being weird is something I can relate to. What? That's not a joke or anything, I'm actually a weird guy. He is basically a comedy character, someone who can bring in some humor while going through this serious content, and overall, Lancer is presented lovely. You can also run in Deltarune, making it more faster to move around and get to your location much quickly, and when it comes to getting hurt, there is a different way to taking damage instead of getting in combat. Every now and then, the screen fades and your heart is revealed. When that happens, projectiles and objects will attack you and you have to try and avoid them as best as you can. The pace of the game can change very quickly and I like it, but not as much as the ending. At first, you think that you have won the battle against the final boss until he tricks you and aims to kill Chris. Susie out of nowhere saves Chris, and Lancer, along with all the monsters you have spared, overthrows the king. And thus, this completes the character arc for Susie. Once a bully who didn't care about anything, now feels compassion and cares about her new friends. I like to call this the Ratchet effect, how he went from a hothead to redeeming himself later in the game. This effect has happened for years. Look at Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones or Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead. And now the effect has happened here and it never gets old. Before they go back home, Chris and Susie go back and say their goodbyes to their new friends, which is a nice touch. Ralsei says his goodbyes by taking off his headwear and... oh. I was not expecting that. They finally make it back home and Susie comments that they should go back there tomorrow. This is the chance for you to explore around the town and talk to some familiar faces. Undyne, Asgore, and yes, even Sans himself. And when you mention Sans about Toriel, he straight up owns you, saying that he's already befriended your mum last night. Sans isn't the main focus in this game, and he still takes the spotlight. Wow. I just hope that Hobo Joe didn't hear this. Well, otherwise... No one talks to my baby girl like that. Oh, for fuck's sake. Can you go, please? You're really being a distraction right now. Oh, alright, fine, I'll go. But you let Sans know that Toriel is already taken. A fictional character. Seriously, what is up with people and their fantasies with video game characters? Well, hey, you don't see me talk about Princess Peach all the time, do you? Oh wow, that photo looks really good. You finally make it home with your mother Toriel, telling stories about how Chris and Asriel played a fighting game called Super Smashing Fighters. Haha. So after a long day, you go to bed and chapter 1 is finished. That is, until you wake up in the middle of the night, literally grabbing your heart out from your body and shoving it in a cage. Chris holds up a knife, his eyes turn red while looking at the camera as the screen transitions to nothing. Yeah, shit's gonna go down in chapter 2. I can't give out my thoughts on the entire game because this is only chapter 1 and who knows when Toby Fox will release chapter 2. But I can give out my opinion on chapter 1. If you like Undertale, then you're definitely going to love Deltarune. The writing's good, the story is fun, and the soundtrack is great as always. I do hope that Toby Fox can bring back the trial and error that made the combat gameplay fun in Undertale and fix up the issues to make Chapter 2 even more better than Chapter 1. That does not mean that Chapter 1 is bad. It's a good game, and if you love funny characters and good storytelling, definitely try out Deltarune. I understand if some people don't want to play it on PC, but you can now download it for free on PlayStation 4 and the Nintendo Switch if you're not really a computer person. So as for Chapter 2 is concerned, take your time on the project, Toby Fox. I can wait, and no matter how long it'll take, I'm sure that the many fans of the Underground will enjoy Chapter 2 as much as Chapter 1. But now, it's time to move on to some announcements regarding the future for this. Hey Cheese, you got a second? Oh, god damn it! First Hobo Joe and now you, Joseph? Oh, jeez. Sorry. Well anyway, you got a package from the mail. Well, I don't care what I got. I'm trying to end the video here. Okay, you know what? Fine. What is it? What is the one thing that is so important right now? Just give me the fucking game.